Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet. We've got another Transformers review coming your way. This time around, we're going to be taking a look at, here comes the long name, the Transformers Legacy Velocitron Speedia 500 Collection Autobot Cosmos. And yeah, this is a G1 Classic Cosmos through and through. He's a fun little dude. Not perfect by any means, but really good time. So, as we always do, let's go ahead and start with that packaging. And I will tell you right now, I wouldn't have gotten this box if there were any other Cosmi from which to choose. So yeah, unfortunately this was on the shelf and it was damaged like that, and there wasn't another Cosmos in sight. So usually I'm a bit of a box snob, but I really wanted to get this guy. So I went ahead and I grabbed this beat up box. But anyway, you've got some really cool artwork up there on the top. You've got Cosmos zooming through space, shooting at things with his little checkered flag. And he looks very fast right there. And coming down here, there's your big gaping hole. You've got him in bot mode, Transformers Legacy, Autobot Cosmos. You've got some nice artwork over here. On the back, you have your product shots, Velocitron Speedia 500 Collection, Autobot Cosmos. Waving the flag, got his flag in his alt mode, 21 steps. You've got all this information down here. You do have the sad baby. The sad baby is sad because he knows in the vacuum of space no one can hear you scream. So just keep that in mind. That was an Aliens reference, by the way. And over here, yeah, you've got some Cybertronian with half a Cosmos. Down low, you have this additional information and the big logo. All right, so that is it for the janky, beaten up, crushed packaging. Let's go ahead and see what came inside the box. Behold, laid out here before you is everything that came inside that box. And I don't know what you expected. He's a deluxe class figure, but I kind of feel like I would have liked to have had more. But anyway, you get your little sheet of warnings, so you know, consistency wins championships. And then you have your sheet of instructions, and I'll have you know that not only was the box damaged, my instructions also got wrinkled, so that's a little disappointing. Anyway, that leaves us with what we have here, which are your two accessories, and we'll start right over here. You have half of a checkered flag, and I say half because well, I guess one side you win, one side you surrender. I guess that's what we're doing now. So, you know, if you don't feel like putting in the effort, you can just give up. You will notice that this is painted. Looks like the molded color is green, and that paint is easily coming off of there just because of that press fit when you put it into those 5mm ports. There's just that thickness of that paint. It's flaking off. Everything else, as far as this goes, looks pretty good. It's just kind of, you know, why couldn't you guys have put the checkers on both sides? You know, oh well. And then you get his gun, which is very basic, but you know, it is what it is. It's got a really big hole right there, but you can put some blast effects in there. You can also put the checkered flag on there, which is what they want you to do. So you can just take that flag and you give it a nice press fit in there and flip it the right way, I guess. And then you can have him holding it. Yeah, he's like, yay, there's your checkered flag, or oh no, we give up. So whatever you want to do with that. So I'll be honest with you, I don't see myself using this flag very much. You're probably not going to see it a lot in this review. So just know you can stick it in any 5mm port, but it's probably just going to go in the storage drawer. So yeah, that leaves you with that. This is blast effect compatible, so yay, good for that. You can get it on the barrel, you can get it on the sides. Alright, so that is it for everything that came inside that box except for Mr. Cosmos himself. So let's bring the gentleman in and take a good look at him. Here he is, the bot we've all been waiting to see. The bot that I consider to be the original Space Ranger long before Buzz Lightyear was even a gleam in anyone's eye. This is the Autobot Cosmos. So let's go ahead and bring him in and take a look at his details, and we'll start right up here with his big old bucket head. And I like it. I like it a lot. This is cool. He just, it just fits him. He's got pretty eyes. The reds look good. The yellows look good. Everything else is pretty plain. You've got a little bit of sculpt work back there, but he looks good. And then you come down to what I like to call his Darth Vader chest. You just beep, beep, boop, boop, boop. Just want to push some buttons there. That blue is brilliant and very well done. The Autobot symbol looks good. The silver looks great. A little bit of sculpt work in there, not a tremendous amount. And coming down to that crotch. Not a lot going on here. This is all just molded. There's no paint. but he looks good. Minimal hollow areas in the legs, on the sides, and the front. He does have some hollow areas on him. We'll see that here shortly, but as far as the legs go from here, they're really not that bad. And then there's the inside of the feet. Coming down here, he does have silver toes, so very cool. And coming around to the side, lift that arm up out of the way. Looks pretty good there. Coming all the way up, you do have a port you can use right there if you choose to. Nice big barreled chested man, robot, whatever you want to call them. Now we get up underneath the arms. They've done a couple good things and then some not so good things. So you can see you've got this filler in right here. So he doesn't have a hollow area there to speak of, but he has a bit of a hollow area back here to speak of. Ooh, big old feet. Hello. He's got ports on the bottom of his feet too, by the way. But then you look up under here, and I get it. This is where the hands fold in for transformation, but golly gee, we couldn't have gotten a panel or something. This just, I don't know, it just screams cheap. My least favorite part of the bot mode right here. So, anyway, come around, take a look at the tops of the arms. Those all look really good. Decent amount of detail. This is painted right here. All that is done pretty well. Hands look good. He's got the little blasters on the ends of his hands, so always good to have those. He doesn't have any kind of hip guns, so it's good for him to have the hand guns. All right, coming around to the back. Yeah, he doesn't look bad in the back. You know, he's got those incredibly obvious hollow forearms, and you've got a little bit of hollow going on back here in the legs, but it's not the worst I've ever seen in a figure, and I really don't have any major complaints here. You do have this 3mm port flight stand right there. Works great in bot mode, doesn't work so good in the UFO mode. We'll talk about that later. And then you've got a 5mm port there. And then not much of a backpack. This all compacts up pretty good and locks in place really securely. So I do like the engineering here for the transformation for the upper body. So I think that's pretty cool. Now, talking about articulation, he's got some pluses, he's got some minuses, and then we'll talk about a quality issue as well. So starting up here at the head is on a ball joint, so surprisingly, you do get a little bit of up, you do get a little bit of down, and then if you want to exacerbate it, I mean, you could, whoa, looking way down if you want to do that. And then he, of course, can do the side to side, and then all the way around. At the shoulders can come up that far, and you can take them all the way around. And then coming down here to the bicep, oh, before we go any further, quality issue. These are really loose. So it doesn't take much at all to bump these down. Both arms are like this. So you can see right there, it kind of gave way. So if you put anything with any significant weight in his hand, unless you have him holding it like this, it's going to come down. So if you have him out like this, yeah, that's a problem. Never should have left the factory that way. Hopefully just my copy and not yours. But anyway, coming down to the elbows, you get 90 degrees of bend, and then you do have bicep rotation. You can go all the way around with there. Coming down to the hands, as we noted, you have that wrist rotation in. And lifting this up, you do get, well, if they'll stay up, you do get a waist rotation, so you can go all the way around if you want to. So it's good to see. And then lifting his hip skirts up out of the way, and you can get a nice deep split out of him. So you're not going to get a Van Damme, but that's going to be a pretty nice deep split. Kicking forward, he can kick forward that far. He can kick backward that far. So, I mean, if you want to get him in a, I haven't tried this, you know, on camera, now is the perfect time. There you go. If you want to have him doing something like that, that tickles me. I like it. Anyway, nice deep back kick. You do have the thigh rotation. You can go all the way around. At the knees, you're going to get 90 degrees. And then coming down here to these feet, they're pretty versatile. You get a little bit of down. Well, a little bit, well, his knee keeps moving. You do have just a tick of down, but you have nothing else. So I'm going to take back what I said about the feet being versatile. It's really all happening in the knees. But you do have some nice ankle tilt, so you can get this going. Man, I'd love to have his arm be able to stay up. Uh-oh, where are you going? So, well, there you go. He's got a gimp arm. Anyway, oh gosh, I never even put his hip skirts down. So, anyway, all that being said, I distracted myself. All that being said, I think he looks pretty darn good. I think that his articulation is okay. I really hate those loose shoulder joints. That's really a bummer. But I still really enjoy this figure. So now that we've got details on articulation out of the way, we'll go ahead and we will throw his accessories on him and some blast effects, and we'll have a little bit of fun that way. All right, well, here is Cosmos. I've got him all accessorized up and taking full advantage of all those blast effect ports. And if you're wondering, why, yes, I am absolutely using these blast effects down here as a counterbalance for the flight stand, just because there's so much Cosmos hanging off to this side that this poor little stand just can't take it all. You'll also notice I'm not using this blast effect port back here just because the flight stand is in the way, but it is available in bot mode if you don't have him on a flight stand. So, I mean, you can tell you can do quite a bit of stuff with this guy, and like I said earlier, I just don't know what I'm going to do with that flag. So there it is. He's holding it. So cool. But yeah, you've got all kinds of ports, all kinds of stuff that you can do with this guy, just endless amounts of fun. And I can almost guarantee that he would be even more fun with really tight shoulders. So that way you would be able to have him hold his weapon straight out instead of having to have such that awkward, weird angle right there that I have. So yeah, there he is, all accessorized up. Hope you guys got a kick out of this. And now that we've gotten that all taken care of, let's go ahead and get him into his bot mode, and we'll take a look at him from there. So I have a question. Is he really a UFO now? Because we've identified who it is. So he's no longer an unidentified flying object. He's an identified flying object. Maybe he's an IFO. Either way, here we have Cosmos in his alt mode, looking very G1-y and really cool and just all kinds of adorable. So let's go ahead and bring him in and take a look at his details. Now the one thing is worth noting, on the box, Autobot symbol here. In real life, no Autobot symbol. He does have one up there though, so that works. But yeah, let's take a look at this guy here. You can see pretty good amount of detail, and I do like that two-tone green that they've got going on. He's got some cannons down here on either side, which is nice. And coming around to the side, pretty good sculpt work. You've got a 5mm port there. And you've got those thrusters on the back looking cool. And then coming all the way to the back, you see some additional sculpt work there. So gives him a little bit of depth and definition. Looks really good. This isn't really secured by anything, so if you can, that kind of makes him look like a face, like, oh, hello. Whoa, wait, I gotta do it. Hey, get out of my yard. He just looks kind of grumpy like that. It looks like that really, what's that grumpy fish? I don't know. Either way, I'm done with that. Moving on. So coming around to the side, same thing over here. You've got another 5mm port. You get the little red button on top of his head. You just want to push it. Man, one of these days I want to be able to push this button and have something happen. And coming around to the front again, you've got that blue with the Autobot up there with his Darth Vader chest action. And up underneath, there he is all folded up. No real identifying robot kibble there, so I suppose if you didn't know what you were looking for, you wouldn't really find it. So that looks pretty good. I'll note it again, but I just do want to point out that, you know, being a flying whatever, it would have been nice. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to bump the camera. But being a flying whatever, it would have been nice if, you know, we could have him flying or floating on a flight stand. His port's right here. It's not under there, so it does make life a little bit difficult. Just a heads up. So it would have been nice in all this mess if they could have figured out a way to put a 3mm port somewhere up in there. Would have been cool. Oh well. So yeah, that is Cosmos in his alt mode, his really cool identified flying object mode. So let's throw some accessories and blast effects on this guy and have a little bit of fun. Here we see Cosmos fully accessorized and utilizing all of those blast effect capabilities in his alt mode. And I gotta admit, he looks really cool here. I mean, this is a cool little spaceship UFO looking alt mode. And I will say the one thing that irks me a little bit though is, as you can see right up here, that's where the 3mm flight stand port is. And yeah, I just it's really just the way he's designed. I kind of got lucky here. I'm able to balance him perfectly on that flight stand, but he is not secured there whatsoever. So it would have been nice if they could have found some way to have a port down there of some type for a flight stand, because he does look really cool when he looks like he's up there and flying. But as you can see, everything else just looks really, really good. I mean, I'm not utilizing the blast effect ports here on the gun just because I wanted to be able to actually see the whole figure. But you can see on the barrel of the gun, the two barrels in the front, on this side he's got a port. You could put another gun, or in this case he's getting shot. And then of course he's not getting shot in the back in this mode. He is actually just taking off and using those rockets, even though technically his thrusters are right there on either side, but we'll not worry about that. But yeah, he looks really good in this mode, so I wanted to show this off to you guys. So now that we've got that out of the way, now we'll go ahead and we'll get into those alt mode comparisons. For that first alt mode comparison, on the left, of course, is that Legacy Cosmos, and on the right is my G1 Combiner 6-shot. For our next comparison, this is the War for Cybertron Kingdom Voyager class Cyclonus. And I don't know if you're sensing a theme here or not, but I'm trying to present Cosmos against other spaceships, or at least close equivalents. So there you go. Moving on to our next comparison, this is the Transformers Origins Bumblebee. And although he may not be a spaceship, he kind of looks like one, and he is just super adorable. Right up there with Cosmos. These two are just so cute together. This next comparison is that really funky alt mode sound wave that we saw in the 2018 Bumblebee movie. And he might not qualify as a spaceship, but I want to believe that this thing could probably get up in orbit. And it's a cool looking thing. Kind of reminds me of a snowspeeder, which kind of makes me think of Star Wars, which kind of makes me think of space. Hence the correlation. So there you go. Nope, you're right. This is not a spaceship. It's a race car. But this is Cosmos' wavemate for that Legacy Speedia 500 Velocitron collection. This is the Autobot Override. And he's got a really swoopy race car mode, which kind of looks like a spaceship. Plus, since he's a wavemate, I figured I would feel obligated to bring him out so you could see the new benchmark, I suppose, for Voyager class and Deluxe class. And last, but certainly not least, this is the Titans Return Legends class Cosmos. And you can see those two guys look really cool together. Obviously, this Cosmos is more G1 tune accurate, but I do like what they did here. I think he looks pretty cool and swoopy, and he's got a tail fin back here, which is always fun. That does it for the alt mode comparisons. Let's get this guy back into his bot mode and do some comparisons there. For our first bot mode comparison, here we see Cosmos next to my G1 6-shot. Moving right along to our next comparison, this is the Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom Voyager class Cyclonus. Next up, this is, in my opinion, what is one of the more underestimated figures, mainline, that have come out in the past year or so. This is the Origins Bumblebee. Representing the Studio Series line, this is the Voyager class Soundwave. This is Soundwave as we saw him in that 2018 Bumblebee movie. Our next comparison is a wavemate of Cosmos. This is the Speedia 500 Velocitron Cybertron Universe Autobot Override. Maybe they could add more words into the name next time. And for our final bot mode comparison, this is the Titans Return Legends class Cosmos. Alright, that'll do it for comparisons. Let's go ahead and get into those final thoughts. So there you have the Transformers Legacy Velocitron Speedia 500 Collection Autobot Cosmos. It's a long name for a short figure, but in short here, no pun intended, I think this is a figure worth picking up. He's not perfect by any means, but he definitely fills in that Cosmos gap that we've been experiencing in the Transformers world. So let's go ahead and get into those numbers a little bit, and we'll start with aesthetics, the overall look of the guy. He looks really cool in both modes. He's definitely Cosmos through and through. The alt mode is by far my favorite. He looks absolutely adorable and just G1 delicious in that alt mode. My biggest complaint on this guy is in the bot mode. He's got obnoxiously hollow forearms. So I really wish that they could have had some kind of panel there. I understand that it's where the fists fold in for transformation, but a panel would have gone a long way, just something to cover those hollow forearms up, because that definitely detracts from the overall look of the guy. But minus the hollow forearms, everything else on this guy looks so cool. Paint looks good. Sculpt work looks good. So I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10 on overall aesthetics. Moving on to the articulation, it's almost good everywhere. You've got a few areas that he lacks in, and we'll talk about him here briefly. I'm not going to harp on it for too long, but just primarily the elbow bend, where the arms are the lower arms are meeting the upper arms. There's just a lot of bulk there. There's a lot of geometry, and they run into each other, so that is going to limit your ability. You do get a 90-degree bend, but if you want to go for that hands on the hips kind of look, he's not quite going to be able to pull it off. There's just a lot of bulk there. And then moving on down to those feet, there's no up or down on them. You get a few degrees of ankle tilt, which is always appreciated, but a little bit of up and down would have gone a long way as well. I'm not going to sit here and be able to tell you what they could have done on the design to make that possible, but I think we've gotten a little spoiled here, and the expectations are that we would like to have a little bit of up and down with our feet. So minus the elbows and the feet, articulation on this figure is really good, but when it hurts you, it does hurt you kind of bad. So I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10 on the overall articulation. One other thing that I do want to note, I'm going to count this in the articulation, is just the location of that 3mm flight stand port. It's in a pretty decent place for the robot mode, but in the alt mode, it's non-existent. So to put him on a flight stand in the alt mode is going to be really challenging. So you can see the port back here. Would have been nice if we could have had one in that alt mode, because who doesn't want to see a flying UFO Cosmos? So anyway, just throwing that in as part of the articulation as well. So 8 out of 10 there. Moving on to the accessories. I'm going to be a little generous here this time around on the accessories, simply because we've never seen them before. But they're not the greatest. I mean, the gun is okay. There's no paint on it, but at least you do have the blast effect compatibility on the barrel, and then you've got these hollow areas right here. And put the two of them together, it doubles as him waving a checkered flag. Yay, cool. And then the checkered flag itself, that's cool, I guess, but I totally understand the whole Speedia 500 connection where he's waving the checkered flag as everybody's coming across the finish line. I totally get it. But if they're going to do a checkered flag, why did they only do the checkers on one side? The other side is the white flag of surrender. So, yeah, why did you do that to us? So I'm not the most impressed with these accessories, but it's the first time we've seen them. I'm going to give them a little bit of a break here, and I'm going to give them an 8 out of 10. Moving on to quality. Probably my biggest disappointment here. Overall quality on this figure is really good. The accessories, he came with everything that he was supposed to. He transforms the way he's supposed to. Everything tabs in. There's no tolerance issues. Paint looks fantastic. The sculpt work is really good. There's no molding defects, anything like that. It's just those really loose shoulder joints. It drives me batty. He never should have left the factory with shoulder joints that loose. So I'm really hoping that it's just my copy and that it's not a systemic issue across the entire line of Cosmos. So if you can, leave me a comment and let me know if you pick this guy up. Do you also have loose shoulder joints? Because that's just going to make it exponentially more disappointing if that's the case. I really hope it's just my copy. So minus all that, it's not a quality issue with the figure or anything from Hasbro, but just disappointed in Walmart here that the box was crushed. I understand things happen in shipping, but man, that box was in really bad shape to put that out on the shelf. Not going to ding him for that. That's not the fault of Hasbro, Takara here, the manufacturer. It's just something while I was on a rant. So overall quality, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. Now, moving on to our last bullet, which is overall value. I've said it before, the price of Transformers is creeping up. For whatever reason, inflation, supply chain shortages, current events going on in the world, all these things contribute to that. I totally get it. But we're starting to get to a point where the juice isn't worth the squeeze, if you will, when it comes to some of these figures. Now, I like Cosmos. I think this figure is worthy of picking up, but I do see that price creep, and I don't think that he has as much value at the price point that they're selling him for now as if he were a few dollars cheaper. So I picked this guy up at a local Walmart. I do believe they're Walmart exclusives. I could be wrong about that, but I think they are. I picked this guy up at a local Walmart in North America for $25 US. it's not a horrible price, but it's a pretty high price tag for a deluxe class figure. So yeah, the prices are getting up there. $25 for this, that's a lot of money to let go of this day and age. So I don't know. I'm not completely confident in the value being there for him. But for me, I'm going to score this guy a 7 out of 10 on overall value. So that brings us to our grand total. Out of a possible 50 points, the Legacy Cosmos gets 40 out of 50, which puts him at 80%. It does make him an easy recommend for me, simply because we haven't had a good Cosmos in a long time. It's nice to see one brought to, the people, if you will. So I think he's a good figure. I think that if you pick him up, you're not going to regret him. My biggest concerns are just that overall quality with the shoulders and then that overall price tag. So hopefully we don't continue to see the prices creep, but we'll see what the future holds. So with that, that is going to wrap the review up. I hope you guys got some good information. I hope you were entertained. And if you haven't already done so, if you could, please hit that like button, give us a subscribe, and send me some comments. Let me know what you think about this guy or anything else. I'd love to hear back from you guys. So that's going to wrap it up. Until we see you guys in the next review, take care.